It is a tight race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump ahead of the last weekend of campaigning. One crucial voting bloc, Gen Z. Both camps are increasingly turning to social media to reach those younger voters. Now, for the latest from the campaign trail, we turn to CBC News TikTok producer Ashley Fraser. Ashley, you had the chance to speak with some of these online influencers about how they're using their influence to get out the call to vote. What have you learned about content creators and what's happening there?
Yeah, so I've been here in Philadelphia speaking to local content creators, but also a few in other states. And they make content specifically about the US election, either for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. And part of that is that they have been invited to some of these events. So some attended the Democratic National Convention or the Republican National Convention. And here's what they had to say about that influence that they had.
Gen Z resonates more with an authenticity type thing than like a good morning, the RNC told me to tell you, like that type of stuff. It doesn't really work well.
I know a lot of younger people under 25 that wrote me and said, we had not registered yet and we've never voted before, and your content made us want to vote for the first time. So that's why we're doing it, right?
So as you can see there, they really tapped into that behind the scenes content at those conventions, which really resonated with a lot of Gen Z. They showed me some of the comments, and it's just incredible to see some of that. Now, I will say we did speak to a bunch of content creators. None of them said they had been paid by the campaign. However, Corey Aversa in that clip there, he did say he's done a couple of paid political posts, but that was from outside groups, and he does disclose that on his content.
So interesting. I remember, Ashley, when this was still a new way of reaching voters. And now, of course, it's one of the major strategies, especially since the vote of young people, of Gen Z, is so coveted. Now, how are the two candidates using influencers to advance their campaigns?
Well, you might have heard of the accounts Real Donald Trump or Kamala HQ. They're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on X. And the reason why they're there is because there are 41 million Gen Z Americans who are the first time, who need to vote this year, and that they're wanting to get that vote and they want to tap into that audience. And the experts I spoke to said it's not about just being on those platforms themselves. It's about making content that actually resonates with that audience. And the way to do that is what content creators sometimes. So here's what an expert had to say about how the two campaigns are doing that.
Whereas the Harris campaign is leaning in really hard to online social media, TikTok, Instagram. We have the Trump campaign on the other side, and they're looking more at podcasting as a new form of social influence.
So as you can see there, you might think podcasting, is that gonna be on social media? It does. Like Donald Trump was recently on Joe Rogan, for example. He has a huge following. He's an influencer in his own right. And those clips get shared all over social media. Now, will this actually make a difference on election day? We don't know yet. The experts told me that there's always been political influences historically, and that could really make a difference, but we'll have to see what happens on November 5th.
You're absolutely right, Ashley. I remember I did not listen to that podcast live, the Joe Rogan one, but bits of it were everywhere else on almost every platform that I'm on. So I heard chunks of it. Ashley, thank you so much for that. This story will be available on the CBC website as well as CBC News TikTok and YouTube accounts. That was our CBC News TikTok producer, Ashley Fraser.